We're going to finish off this page here of trying to figure out where a minor 7 chord is in different keys. This is simply just knowing what scale degrees in major and minor keys the minor 7 chord can be, and then picking out the correct scale that it's from. So the first thing we're just going to do is spell this A flat minor 7, right? So that's going to be an A flat minor triad, which is A flat, C flat, and E flat. And then a minor 7th, which is a whole step below A flat, which is G flat. Now, the important thing to remember is that you can have a minor chord on tonic in a minor key, a minor chord on supertonic and mediant in the major keys, right? 2 and 3 chords are minor 7 chords in major keys. 4 chords are minor, right? And are minor in minor keys, and no dominant 7 chord, no leading tone or subtonic chords are minor 7 chords, but submediant could be 6 chord in a major key. So again, the 1 and the 4 chord in minor keys can be minor 7 chords, and the 2, the 3, and the 6 are minor 7th chords in major keys. So we just have to figure out where they start. So let's do this right here, these two right here, minor keys. A flat is going to be the 1 chord, A flat minor, in A flat minor, the key, right? In other words, if we were in A flat minor scale, that would be the 1 chord that we'd spell, A flat minor 7, okay? Now, if we want to think about where it would be the 4 chord, you have to think backwards. So if you say, if this is 4, what's 1, right? And that would be E flat minor, right? E flat minor, because E flat minor is E flat, F, G flat, A flat. So 4th degree is, or the subdominant degree is A flat, and it's a minor 7. Now, if we wanted to go really deep, you could also say, but don't worry about this, but I just want to point this out. There is an equivalent key called D sharp minor, which starts on the same note and will have a G sharp minor 7, but that's just enharmonically or respelled, but we're not going to worry about it for this, okay? Now, we just have to think what major keys is A flat, 2, 3, and 6 in. So if I'm in the key of G flat major, then my 2 chord or 2nd scale degree is going to be A flat, and 2 chords are minor 7s. If I'm in a major key where A flat is my 3, right, my 3rd note, well, got to think about this then. That would be F flat major. That doesn't work. Does that make sense? There's no such thing as F flat major. Now, there is, I'm going to put this over here on the side, E major, right? And the 3rd scale degree is G sharp, and those are enharmonically the same. But we're not going to do that right now. We're not doing enharmonics, right? So because there's no F flat major scale, remember if I was in F major, the 3rd note would be A, which is not A flat. And if I was in F sharp major, it would be A sharp. It's not that. So you can actually play this sound on a 3rd degree of a scale, G sharp though, in E major, but that doesn't count. So there isn't one there, right? Finally, we have to say, is there a major key where the 6th note is A flat, right? So you have to go, well, if I was in C major, it would be A. If I'm in C flat major, 6th note would be A flat. So there is a key of C flat major. So A flat major is the 6th chord, sorry, A flat minor 7 is the 6th chord in the key of C flat major. And that's it. So we found one key that we'd normally find a chord in disqualified because it's not spelled the right way. All right, let's do this again. Just got 3 more. By the way, these subsequent worksheets have less places where these things show up, and it gets easier and easier. So this is the hardest one to do, I think, to begin with, right? So B flat minor is spelled B flat, D flat, and F. That's your minor triad, and then A flat is your minor 7th. Okay, remember that in in minor keys, the 1 chord is a minor 7, and also the 4 chord are minor 7s as well. So let's just do those first. If I want to know what minor key B flat minor is the 1 chord in, well, it's the same, right? In B flat minor. Okay, the 1 chord would be B flat minor 7. So now we think backwards from here. If B flat is my subdominant or 4th scale degree, what minor scale would that be from? And that would be from F minor, right? Because F minor is F, G, A flat, B flat. 4th scale degree is B flat, and like I said, 4 chords are minor 7 chords, right? Now we have to look for the 2 chord, the 3 chord, and the 6 chord potentially being B flat major or minor 7 in a major key. So if I think about this, B flat is 2 or scale degree 2 in A flat major, right? B flat is 3, 3rd scale degree in G flat major. Let me just put this over on the side for a minute. If I went G, then my 3rd scale degree would be B, right? So G flat, 3rd scale degree would be B flat right there. And there is a G flat scale, so the 3rd degree of the G flat major scale is B flat, and that's where you'll find your minor 7. Okay, here as well, we can say, well, if I were in, the answer here is D flat major. Let me show you how I got there. If D is 1, 6 is B, right? D major scale, so if I want to B flat, D flat major, B flat. And so the 6th chord is minor 7 in D flat major, B flat. Almost there, 2 more to go. G flat minor is G flat, B double flat, D flat, and F flat, because G flat or GB flat D F would be G minor, so I just flat everything again. This is going to be ugly, and we might not be able to find many instances of this, but that's good and it's useful to know. So remember that minor 7 chords occur in minor keys on scale degrees 1 and 4, right? And you go, well, is it G flat minor that it is? But the problem is there's no such thing as the key of G flat minor, right? There's an F sharp minor, which gets you the same notes in terms of sound, but they're not the same thing, right? There is no G flat minor because we don't have double flats in our key signatures. We might find that this is a bust everywhere, but we'll see, So the answer is, it doesn't exist unless you wanted to say F sharp minor and spell it in harmonic, right? Now, in what key, minor key, is G flat scale degree number 4? Again, I think we're going to have a hard time here, but maybe we'll find it. So if I was in D, then G would be there, right? So if I'm in D flat, then it would be G flat. The problem is there's no D flat minor, right? No D flat minor, because that would end up being like double flats in different places. So there's nothing we can do there. I hope you're sort of going, yay, clearly there's not going to be any keys that these work in. Don't be so sure. Like I said, if we respelled this as C sharp and this was F sharp minor, then we'd be all over the place with it. But we're trying to show you the technique of seeing where it fits in. And then as an afterthought, you can always say, is there an enharmonic scale that you can do? Enharmonic means same note, different name or spelling. Okay, so let's think about this for a minute. Supertonic would be 2 chord, right? And if G flat is 2, then you'd be looking at F flat major, which doesn't exist. So that can't happen either, because F flat major would have 2, this is just not going to work. And so, we find one in here that's kind of a trick pony on that, because we'd have to do it as E. So you go E, F sharp, right? So is there a key where G flat is the 3 chord? Well, in major key, that is. The answer again is, I don't think so, because if you were E, you'd be G sharp, right? And if you're E flat, then you'd be G natural, right? Key of E flat major, G natural. And there's no such thing as E double flat, and we're not going to call it D either. So the answer is no. And shall we just skip to the chase? There's no such thing here as well. Let's just take a look at this as well. If G was 6, then B would be, right? G sharp would be there, right? So B flat makes it that, and then it'd have to be B double flat to make it that right there. So it doesn't work. We knew this actually ahead of time when we looked at this because the double flat there's no double flats or double sharps in key signatures. It only happens in the 7 chord and in the 5 chord in certain minor keys. So when we raise up that leading tone again. So this is a big nothing right there. But this one should be better for us. C, E flat, and G, and B flat is my minor 7. If I'm in the key of C minor, my 1 chord will be C minor 7. If I'm in the key of G minor, right, then my 4 chord will be C minor 7. So now think about these guys in major keys. By the way, there's no dominant and there's no subtonic or leading tone because the chord qualities are not going to happen there. If my C is the 2 chord, then I'm in B flat major. And if my C is the 3 chord, then I'm in A flat major. Right? I'm just thinking about, what major scale has C as its 3rd note or C as its 2nd note. Okay? And then what major key has C as its 6th note? Right? So that would be E flat because then you come down to there. Right? So E flat major. And that's my cat crying because I guess it wants to go out or wants food or wants attention. Anyhow, that's how that goes. I hope that you have gotten through this and realized that if you think about it sort of thoughtfully, I have a minor 7 chord. It can be the 1 chord in a minor key or the 4 chord in a minor key. You just have to figure out what scale will have that note as note 1 or note 4 that's a minor key, right, or a minor scale. It can be the 2, 3, or 6 chord in a major key, so you have to figure out what scale would have that as the 2 note or the 3 note or the 6 note in a major scale. And sometimes it doesn't work because of enharmonicism, right? Like G flat minor is a perfectly good minor 7 chord, but because of the double flat on the 3rd there, it doesn't actually conform to a key. It's a theoretical chord that can be made or altered to get to, but you're not going to find it germane to an actual key. Some other places, like right here, we're going to find that A flat would have to be spelled as a G sharp chord to find a key that it could be the 3 note in. Oops, right there. Okay, so if you want to get really brilliant and complicated, then in addition to thinking about where these existing keys, you can also think about any enharmonic keys as well, or scales, like F sharp major and G flat minor are the same thing, so you could respell all their chords and it would still sound the same. And truthfully, composers and improvisers and all kinds of musicians tend to think of them simultaneously both as specific to a key, but also just as a sound, so they could belong to enharmonic or other keys and things. In fact, if you go through the 2nd year and we start looking at how people change keys in complicated romantic music, they're constantly thinking about the duality of how to spell a chord in many different ways, because there's exotic chords that have similar spellings to these that are slightly different, and so they alter the chord and then pop it into the new key as an exotic chord and do all kinds of tricks. But to begin with, let's just deal with this horrible thing now. The next day we'll do major 7s, and just as a preview, we'll do one right now in case you're going like, I got this. The major 7 chord is 1 in the major key and 4 in the major key. And that's it for major keys, right? And it's 3 and 6. And remember, these are supposed to be submedians, right? So we have to think about, in this case, well, we'll do one. C, E, G, B. So in 1s and 4s, the chords are major 7s. So in the key of C major 7, it's key of C major, C is the 1 chord, major 7, right? And it's also the key of G major, right? G, A, B, C. C is the 4 chord, and so it can also be a C major 7 there. Now, we have to think, where is C the mediant, and where is C the submediant chord? And now you got to spell your scales right. A minor, right, is A, B, C, D, etc. No sharps and flats. So that's where this is note number 3, or the mediant. It's not A flat minor, because that would be B flat, C flat. And it's not A sharp minor, because that would be A sharp, B sharp, and C sharp. Neither of these ones match up to the correct third scale degree. You got to find the minor scale that has that exact note for the third scale degree. So it is the mediant in A minor, and then we have to think about where it's the submediant or the sixth, right? So just in general, we know it's E something that makes that a sixth, right? Okay, but is it E flat or E minor? And you'll have to think about how these scales are spelled, but it is in fact E minor, because E minor's relative major is G major, 1 sharp, F sharp, and so the C won't be flat. So the E scale that we want to make this note number 6 exactly C, not anything else, is E minor and not E flat, where it would be a C flat. Okay, but only 4 chords per of these things. And then when we get on to the next page, it'll be dominant chords, which will just be 5 chords and subtonic chords, right? And then when we get to half diminished, it's 2 chords in minor and leading tone chords in major. So it gets more specific every time. And then diminished sevenths can only be leading tone chords in minor, right? And then we're done, which is pretty cool. All right.